Miami has a few options this summer to improve their roster, so we'll give you our perspectives on the draft, trading for Kevin Durant, and filling out the rest of the roster as we run our mock offseason on today's episode of Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app, thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day. For daily content on the Heat, click that subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you are following us on your podcast app. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Have a really fun show for you today. It's our mock offseason. We're going to go through the entire Heat offseason complete with a pick in the NBA draft, free agency, trades, filling out the roster, and a whole lot more. The rules are simple. We did this last year, David, and we're going to do it the same way. You will act as the Miami Heat. You are Pat Riley, Andy Ellsberg, Adam Simon, Eric Spoelstra. You are the decision maker, the czar of the Miami Heat. Congratulations on the promotion. I am everybody else. I am everybody else that you have to deal with. So I am the agent of potential free agents. I'm the other teams that you might be in contract or trade talks with. I'm draft picks. I'm everything else. Anybody else that you might encounter in your offseason journey, I'll represent the other party's interest, including the Phoenix Suns, which is where we're going to start here. But I did want to call out one thing before we got rolling here, David. I went back and watched our mock offseason from last year. We were right on two things, and that was really it. But we were right on two things. That the Heat would draft Kel'el Ware.
Yes, nailed it.
Nailed that one. And that they would table contract talks with Jimmy Butler. So we were right on those two things. We got that right. We didn't get the rest of it right, but we did get those. We got the two big things right. So with that in mind, let's start with Kevin Durant. Last year we started with the NBA draft, but this year we have to start with Kevin Durant because this is something that could happen before the NBA draft. So really it's kind of the first thing here, and it sounds like Phoenix might want to have an idea of where things stand with their own roster by draft night. So we're going to start with Kevin Durant. Latest reporting on this is that the Suns are not budging, that they have a very high asking price for Kevin Durant, that teams on Durant's wish list, Miami, Houston, San Antonio, they've made their offers, and they're, as of now, not willing to improve on those offers and just sort of doing the wait and see thing. Could Minnesota get into the mix? They're hoping that Kevin Durant changes his mind and would be open to signing long-term in Minnesota. Until that happens, it doesn't sound like the Timberwolves are very inclined to mortgage things from the future in order to get a one-year rental of Durant. So moving parts, this could change at any moment, quite literally, but that's where we're beginning for the sake of this mock offseason. So I'm going to get things rolling here. I'm going to be Phoenix. I'm going to give you a call. Look, everybody knows we got to trade Kevin Durant. Here's what I'm asking for. I don't know what your offer is, but here's what I'm asking for. I want Wiggins. I want Duncan Robinson. I need his contract in the deal. That's a non-negotiable for me. That saves us a lot of money on the tax when we waive him. I want Jaime Jaquez. We like him. I want Kel'el Ware. I want him as the long-term answer at center. I want the 20th pick in this draft, and I want a future first. We can haggle over that future first, protections, whatever. But I want basically 2 first-round picks. I want Ware. I want Jaquez. I want Wiggins, and I need to have Duncan Robinson's contract in there. What do you think?
It's a good deal. I like the way that you've structured this so far, but we're heavily invested in Ware's future right now, and he's not going to be part of any negotiations for Kevin Durant. Is there anybody else in the roster that might fit something? We have Niko Jovic. He's a great young player with a lot of potential. Do you think you might be interested in acquiring a player like him? We also have a local guy in Pelle Larsson, second-round pick last year. Salary-wise, we could make it work perhaps, but I think he's got a lot of talent. He's a young player, shows real tenacity. It'd be great for a former Arizona Wildcat.
Yeah, we're not interested in Larsson. We're not interested in your second-round pick. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, Other than that, then
we could talk Nico, but I want all the first round picks then, and they have to all be unprotected. So I want 20. I want your 2030 and your 2032. I want all of it, and I want it all unprotected. And you can keep Ware, but I want Nico, I want Jaime, I want Wiggins, I want Duncan, I want all of it.
What about pick swaps for 32?
No, I want unprotected. Not interested in swaps.
Okay. There's nothing else that we can do then. I mean, and based on our conversation, I think we're going to have to include Ware then. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. If it's, and I think this is where the Heat are actually stuck right now, is that they have to draw a line in the sand. And I think there's ways of replenishing the center position, and you'd rather keep some of the future picks available. You'd rather keep a young player like Nico. It would be tough to give up Kel'el Ware, but if that's what it takes in order to get Kevin Durant, I'm willing to make that sacrifice. So
what's your counteroffer?
There isn't one. You've drawn your line in the sand. I think, given what you're saying, it's Jaime Jaquez, Kel'el, Duncan Robinson, and Andrew Wiggins.
No first round picks.
First round pick.
And one first round pick. Okay, let's
no first round pick.
here.
No first round pick. That's no first. No, yeah. Let's turn around.
Yeah. You're getting another phone call. So you could politely hang up with Phoenix, say that we're going to call him back. You're getting another phone call. It's Detroit. Detroit general manager calls you. Hey, did you see this Desmond Bane thing? 4 first round picks for him? Did you know Desmond Bane was available? I didn't. What's your stance on Tyler Herro?
Oh.
Is he available?
No, he's not. He's not available. We believe in Tyler, and I don't think there's anything on Detroit's roster right now that would make him unavailable.
Would you be interested in 4 first round picks?
Including one in this year's draft?
That's a good question. Do we have a pick in this year's draft? As the general manager of the Detroit Pistons, I should probably know this. No, not one in this year's draft. Sorry, we don't have a pick. But we have 2026. We can consummate the deal after the draft, so we can unlock the 2026 pick. We'll get you 2026, and then we have control over our picks after that, so we can figure out what makes sense. But we're getting the ball rolling, starting with a 2026 pick. And then after that, and for salary matching purposes, we have guys like Isaiah Stewart, Simone Fontecchio, nice little $8 million salary that we could throw in there.
Is Jaden Ivey available?
We could talk Jaden Ivey. He's got 1 year left on his rookie deal. He's up for a rookie extension potentially. We could hand that problem off to you if that's something that you'd be interested in. It'd probably be fewer first round picks, but we could talk about him. That's
fine. I think we could make a deal then for Jaden Ivey, 3 first round picks, and then whatever salary else. Isaiah Stewart's. We like some B stew down here in South Florida. Fontecchio is a decent shooter. Yeah, you could throw him in there too if that's what it takes for salary matching purposes.
All right, so I just wanted to see where you were at. I'm gonna huddle up with my team over here. I'm gonna see what we're gonna offer you a package. There might be some protections on these firsts. Maybe there's a swap in there somewhere instead, but I'll get back to you with a concrete package. Okay? Hang up the phone. Dang. Phoenix calls you again. Hey, were you just talking to Detroit? You like how I'm doing?
Absolutely not.
Were you just you were not on the phone with Detroit? Don't lie to me. No. Don't lie to me, Pat.
I don't know. Why? What did you hear? What do you
think
heard
Detroit's that you might be getting your hands on Isaiah Stewart, and that could be very interesting to us.
Is that something that might be of interest rather than including Kel'el Ware?
In addition to some first-round picks?
In addition to a first-round pick?
Isaiah Stewart. We could take Stewart. We need Duncan Robinson. But Isaiah Stewart, there's a lot of interest in there for us. If we could build a package around Isaiah Stewart, Duncan Robinson, and some of these first-round picks that you're getting from Detroit.
Alongside Andrew Wiggins?
No. I don't think
Andrew Wiggins.
I don't think we can afford that. I think it's Stewart and Duncan Robinson with like Simone Fontecchio and Kyle Anderson. or something like that. Like, so I don't think I could look at the trade machine. I don't think I can get Stewart, Duncan, and Wiggins. I think that's too, it's too much money for us because we're second aproned. We can't take back more money.
Well, then we need to include a 14 then, because we need to unload Andrew Wiggins' salary. Like I just, well, yeah,
You
no,
don't, because
I
you've
just
already unloaded the Herro salary.
Yeah. I just don't think from a roster management perspective, like Wiggins doesn't make sense if you have Kevin Durant on the team. Like I love the idea of him coming off the bench and being a great player that way, and his salary's okay. I mean, he can help in that regard, but it almost seems superfluous to have both he and Durant on the roster at the same time.
You can have Mitchell, Wiggins, Durant, Bam, Ware.
You can't have Wiggins at the 2. That's not realistic.
Golden State tried it. It didn't exactly work for them. Well, that's a you problem. I don't know. Is there a team out there that you think might be interested in Wiggins? Sacramento for DeRozan.
Sacramento.
DeRozan doesn't make much sense, does it? Not the 2.
Same problem.
Mm-hmm.
Same problem.
You need somebody a little bit more. What's your problem with Wiggins? Not good enough of a ball handler at the 2?
Yeah, not much of a shot creator, not much of a ball handler, shooting kind of inconsistently. You're giving up a lot of scoring in Tyler Herro, and you get some back with Jaden Ivey, but Wiggins kind of just stifling on the bench there. It just doesn't make sense. Like he's too good to be a bench player and not good enough to be a starter. So he's just kind of somewhere in between right now, and certainly not a starter at the 2.
Is this something you could figure out later, and we could pull the trigger on this Durant deal, and then you could figure out a Wiggins landing spot later in the offseason?
No. Ultimately, I don't think that'll work. It's not. We have to be able to shore up other spots on our roster, or be able to maybe. Can you do a sign trade with, say, Tyus Jones, and then maybe send him our way, and we can include Wiggins in that deal?
You want me to sign Tyus Jones to a $25 million a year deal?
No. We'll have to adjust some of the salary we send over.
I honestly have no idea if Phoenix is allowed to do that based on where they are as a second apron team. I'm assuming no, but I have no idea. I'm assuming no just because second apron teams aren't allowed to really do anything. I have no idea if they're allowed to do that. Yeah. I have no idea if they're allowed to.
And that's why you need Duncan so badly, is just for the sake of waiving completely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's going to work out then. Like you've drawn a line here, and I just don't see that's possible of accommodating you. And you're so hamstrung. Look, we went through this with the Jimmy deal. We tried to make things work to get you the player that you wanted, and you were just too demanding in that regard. And so we wound up having to send him to Golden State. And now you're back to square one. You're back exactly where you want. So you're going to have to figure out whether or not these kind of, this line that you've drawn, whether or not might need to be erased a little bit, or at least
we're willing to do Stewart, Robinson, and some of these other pieces. It's you that you're hung up on Wiggins.
Yeah, because you were going to take him at one point, and now you decided not to because of Isaiah Stewart. So,
well, let's see if there's a way that we can make this happen. Yeah, unfortunately, there's just no way for us to make the math work. We talked to our Andy Ellisberg on this side, and we couldn't figure it out. So, yeah, we're gonna have to hang up right now, and maybe put a pin in this from Phoenix's perspective, I guess. Ring ring. This is Detroit calling back to Miami. Were you able to get anything done with Phoenix?
No. They're not willing to budge, and we've got to find another taker for Andrew Wiggins' salary. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be sending Tyler Herro your way. He's going to remain on our roster for a little while.
No Herro deal. All right, that's a bummer. At least we called. All right, hangs up the phone. Okay, so Phoenix calls. We're talking about it. We put a pin in that. We're going to take a break here. The draft is coming up. It's draft night. We're going to do that. Then we're going to tackle some of these bigger questions. Can we actually get a Durant deal done on draft night? We'll talk about that next year on our Locked On Heat mock offseason.
Today's episode is brought to you by Olipop. Olipop's a new kind of soda. It's made for people who love the classic taste of soda, but want something that supports their health. With just 2 to 5 grams of sugar and 9 grams of prebiotic fluid, probiotic fiber in every can. Olipop is reimagining soda in a way that's better for your gut. Traditional sodas are loaded with sugar. You can get up to 39 grams in a regular Coke or 44 grams in an orange Fanta. Olipop flips that script with just a fraction of the sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and gut-friendly ingredients like OliSmart, a blend shown to support digestive and overall health. It's a soda that tastes like the real thing, but actually does something good for your body. We've had some Olipop here at the house for a while. We've been getting into a lot of different flavors. There's so many different ones to choose from. I've said it before. My son loves the crisp apple. He also likes the cherry flavor, grape, classic soda. So many different flavors to choose from. Which one will be your favorite? There's so many different ones. You can even try their Dr. Goodwin. It's a Dr. Pepper-like flavor, and it's delicious. You're going to love it. So if you're searching for a new change to your soda, well, go get a free can of Olipop. You just buy any 2 cans in store, and they'll reimburse you for 1. If you head to drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA, you can claim your free can and find Olipop near you. That's drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. We'll be right back.
All right, it's NBA draft night. We are in the first round. I just simulated the first round here on the Fanspo mock draft simulator. And the Miami Heat are on the clock. Here on the clock, last couple of picks. Thomas Sorber, the center out of Georgetown. Danny Wolf is off the board. Liam McNeely, Will Riley, Joan Banger. Those guys are off the board 15 to 19. The usual suspects went in the lottery. So no big surprises here in our little mock draft simulation. On the board for Miami at 20 are Jace Richardson out of Michigan State, Asa Newell, power forward center out of Georgia, Nick Clifford out of Colorado State, and Maxime Renaud, the 3-and-B type center out of Stanford, and a couple other players. Cedric Howard is still on the board out of Washington State. You and I very much like Cedric Howard, but the big name here, I think there's 3 names here that I think are worth highlighting: Jace Richardson, Asa Newell, and Maxime Renaud. Yeah. I think all 3 of those players could have interest to Phoenix. Jace Richardson, simply because he went to Michigan State, and that seems to be the whole thing for the Suns. And then 2 of the better centers in the draft, in Maxime Renaud and Asa Newell, who's a little bit of a tweener 4-5 guy. Phoenix just called you, David. They're interested in acquiring this pick in part of a Kevin Durant trade. They like who's on the board.
Are they willing to budge on accepting where part of a deal? Like if you can take everything else that we talked about, Wiggins, etc., you can include the 2020 pick, but where's off the board?
So nowhere, but you're giving us 20 right now. We can make the pick for, and you'll make that selection for us.
Sure.
You'll give us Wiggins. You'll give us Duncan.
Yep.
Can I get Jaime?
No.
Can I get a future first?
Heavily protected future pick in 2032.
What kind of protections are we talking?
Top 20.
Could you get me can you make it top 8 protected?
Top 15.
And you wouldn't prefer to just give me Jaime and we'll call that one pick off?
No. We'll keep Jaime.
So what's the deal? Wiggins,
Duncan, salary relief. You get the 20th pick this year and a top 15 protected 2032 pick.
All right. Call it in. You got a deal.
All right.
Ding, ding, ding.
Nice.
All right. So there's the deal. Miami does not have a pick in the 20 at 20. They do land Kevin Durant at the cost of Wiggins, Duncan, 20, and a 2032. What'd you say? Top 15 protected?
Correct.
Pick. On that 2032 protection, if it does not, technically we can't. Can we make that a 2030 protected? Because I think the rules are that you can't have that be protected in 2032 because you can't trade
Sure.
7 years out and you need, so can we make it a 2030
Fine.
top 15? Okay.
That's
And then if it does not convey,
it rolls over.
it rolls over into unprotected in 2031 or what are we talking?
How can we? I don't know how that works. I'll be 100% honest.
You can roll it over into whatever you want. So if you roll it over into a first that's protected, then you have to have another rollover and another rollover until something is ultimately unprotected, or it rolls over into second round picks, or there's no rollover. It's all part of a negotiation. I don't think we have second round picks, so I think it would just be unprotected 2031. I think that's how it would work as a rollover. But that's not interesting. We'll just stop it there. That's the deal. Durant for that. Congratulations. That's the end of the draft. Where are we now? Okay, so on the other side of this, we've got our own free agents to deal with. We've got other free agents to deal with. We've got a Nikola Jovic extension to deal with. Let's do a couple of things really quick before we go to our next break. The big coming out of the draft, we've got Kevin Durant. This is Davion Mitchell's agent calling. What are we doing? Unrestricted free agency. We know where we all know where we stand. You love Davion Mitchell. We love being in Miami. Let's just make something happen.
We think we can go. We want his tenacity here. We want him to stay as a part of the Heat for a while. We'd be willing to go 4 for 32 with that fourth year being a player option.
4 for 32. So we're talking about
$8
million annual value. So can you get it up to? Can you make it a 35? 4 for 35, because I think you technically might have to be up at that 8.75. I'm not sure how this works, but yeah, you know what? That's fine. Because the qualifying offer is 8.75, so I'm not sure. Okay. I think you could still negotiate. Can you do 4 for 35?
Sure.
Player option on the second year?
Yeah, with
fully guaranteed.
We'll have the salaries will be increasing, so we'll start off as 8. And then going up to 9, 10 until I guess the final year would be closer to 12 million. But that's your player option year. And if you opt out because you think you can get more than $12 million, you can do it then.
Let's make it happen. Davion's very excited to play with Kevin Durant. That's done. Will the Heat bring back Alec Burks? Can they get a Nikola Jovic extension done? How will they fill out the rest of the roster? That's next on the mock offseason.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like the NBA Finals, the playoffs in general, so much intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you've got to experience live. And you know what? The regular season is right around the corner, too. You never know. You want to experience that. And guess what? Game Time is the place to go to because they can bring you the action, and it makes it so easy to get the opportunity. And as prices drop closer to tip-off, you actually find a way to save money and get all the NBA action that you love so much. And there's so much to choose from, whether it's NBA basketball, World Cup matchups, and, of course, the NFL schedule being released just a few days ago. There's so much to look forward to, and you can find all the tickets you're looking for over at Game Time. And they've got so many different features you can choose from. They've got their views from their seats, so you can see exactly where you're going to be sitting. They've got their they've got their Game Time guarantee, so your tickets are 100% authentic, and they'll arrive on time, and you'll always get the best price available. So much to like about Game Time, and right now you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA, and you get $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We'll be right back.
This is Alec Burks' agent. Ring, ring, calling. Hey, free agency's starting in a few days. Where are we?
We'd love to have Alec and his leadership back, but you know what we can do here. We're basically talking a minimum deal. If we can get that deal elsewhere, that's fine. We understand how important it is to get that kind of consistency, but we also think we could probably get a deal closer to, say, the start of training camp done, and we don't have to rush into anything right now until we make other moves first.
Fair enough. Alec Burks is going to have a lot of takers, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to give you a call before something happens, but we'll see.
Are we talking about Alec Burks still? I mean,
The Alec Burks. All right, agent hangs up. I think that was the right call, by the way. Miami has 13 players under contract after making the Kevin Durant deal. So one more player needed to fill out the roster to meet the league minimum. Obviously, you have a maximum of 15 roster spots open. So Alec Burks in limbo for the moment. We got some two-way things happening here that we could breeze through really quick. Josh Christopher no longer eligible on that two-way contract because of years of experience. So he walks away as a free agent, at least for now. You still have Isaiah Stevens and Drew Smith on two ways. This is usually not something that teams deal with until closer to training camp. But if you want to create another roster spot, Keyshawn Johnson, what's his status? Because right now he's on a standard 15-man roster deal. Would you be willing to waive him in order to create another roster spot, potentially bring him back on a two-way if he doesn't get an offer somewhere else? You don't have to answer the question right now, but it could be something that comes up later on in our discussion. Next order of business, the Nikola Jovic extension. Ring, ring. This is Nikola Jovic's agent calling. Hey, he's eligible for extension. Do you have any plans on extending my client?
no, I think we can table this discussions. Like we you know how we feel about Nico. At the same time, their injury concerns are legitimate. We want him to be able to continue to grow defensively. And we'd love for him to be a part of this future and to learn from a Hall of Fame great, an all-time great like Kevin Durant. But he needs to be able to show that he could play defense at a high level and he can stay healthy. If he can do that, then we'll definitely enter into some kind of negotiations next summer. But we don't have to do that right now.
My client would very much like the long-term security, and he loves being in Miami.
Absolutely.
Would you guys be willing to do 4 years at $60 million as an extension?
No, we would not. We think that money will be available next summer, and we think it's going to be a competitive offer for his services, but he has to be able to continue to show, because with the second apron being what it is and all the constraints forced on us by the collective bargaining agreement, we're just in a really tough position. And as much as we love Nico and appreciate everything that he's done for us over the last few seasons, we just can't commit to that right now.
All right, so the two sides are far apart on an extension that gets tabled. Next order of business, filling out the rest of the roster. Well, I guess before we get to that, David, I want to know, just recap what the roster is, and you let me know if there's any other moves that you think you need to be making. So I'll just kind of list out the depth chart, I suppose. You've got Davion Mitchell, Terry Rozier, Tyler Herro, and Pelle Larsson at those guard spots. You got Kevin Durant, Haywood Highsmith, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Bam Adebayo, Kyle Anderson, Nikola Jovic, Keyshawn Johnson. And then at center, you've got Kel'el Ware and Kevin Love. So that's who's under contract. Is there anything that you would like to do with the roster right now?
So I'm placing a call to the Washington Wizards for an office.
Oh, okay. Picking up the phone. I'm the Wizards front office. Hey, what's up, Pat? What's going on, buddy?
Not much. We heard you might be willing to move Marcus Smart. Is that right?
We have nothing but respect for Marcus Smart. He's made it very clear that he wants to be. We think he deserves to be playing for a playoff team. We're impressed by your move for Kevin Durant. Maybe there's something that we can get done here.
Would you be willing to take on Terry Rozier's salary for Marcus Smart?
With something else, for sure. Yeah, I think that's something that could work with it. Rozier's expiring, right?
Yeah.
If you could attach something that's interesting, then we'd be willing to do that.
Something that's interesting. How about a very unlikely to convey second round pick down the road?
Can you get me a likely to convey second round pick down the road?
Probably not, but let's how about a heavily protected second round pick that you're probably not going to wind up getting? But how about lightly protected second round pick that you're probably hopefully not get?
So quick sidebar right here. I looked at the Bobby Marks offseason guide for the Heat. He says that they have 2 tradable second round picks. Now, I looked at the real GM, like there's like weird swap protection stuff on this. I'm really not sure how this goes. I'm sure that 2032 pick becomes unlocked. So maybe it's really distant second round pick. So I just wanted for the audience to kind of catch them up. Like, not quite sure what these second round picks are that Miami has anymore, but they're out there potentially. Bobby Marks says that there's 2 of them. So back to the conversation.
A very future second round pick with some protections added to it if possible.
No protections. You get Marcus Smart. You take Rozier off your hands. No protections on a second-round pick, Pat. Come on.
Yeah, but it's not like Marcus Smart is really in high demand. Have you got any other calls about him with the draft and free agency?
Every
No.
team is calling us about Marcus Smart. Everybody wants
Every
him.
team, huh?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything
if
about
you
any of them.
if you get an unprotected second-round pick, why don't we do it this way? We'll make sure that as long as that pick doesn't end up top 3 in the second round, it conveys. So I guess that's 31, 32, 33 protected.
Top 5.
Top 4.
Top 4. Top 4.
All right, deal. Okay, Rozier for Marcus Smart. Boom, Marcus Smart comes to Miami. Terry Rozier is Washington's problem now. That's the deal there. Marcus Smart sent to Miami. Washington gets some good karma by doing the right thing by a veteran. All right, so we got a couple other things here. You've got now 13 players under contract on your roster. I'm going to give you the names of some free agents, and you just, I guess, stop me when you want to place a call to their representative.
There's only
one.
one.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, make the call.
I think it's Seth Curry. I think he's the best shooter available at this point in time.
So a list of shooters that I have written down here: Tim Hardaway Jr., Seth Curry. I've got Dennis Schroeder, not quite a shooter, but a guard. Luke Kennard, Gary Harris. It sounds like
Luke
he's probably
Kennard's out of
waived.
our blood. Yeah, I don't think that's realistic.
You think Kennard is just
Gary
too
Harris.
expensive?
Yeah, Luke Kennard. Yeah, he's gonna get much more than a vet min.
Well, you have the mid-level exception.
Yeah, we're not going to use that as Seth Curry. I think we can get him for the vet minimum and still keep options open for later on if we make another move down the road.
Okay, so Seth Curry, that's the name. Okay, you're calling Seth Curry.
2 connections up in the front office. We could get that happen, I think.
What connections?
Nicky Harrison.
He has a connection with Seth Curry?
I don't know about specifically Seth Curry. I know that there's a lot of Duke there between him, Shane Battier, et cetera. There's
I see the Duke connection. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say that. The Duke
connection.
Yeah, okay, so I'm Seth Curry. I'm 34 years old. What did I do last year? I played for Charlotte, apparently.
Yeah.
And I shot 45% on 2.7 3-point attempts per game in 68 appearances, averaging a little bit more than 15 minutes per game. And you're offering me the minimum?
Yeah.
And I have to live in Miami?
No, not have to. You get to.
That's right. Sounds good. Very good. I've been waiting for this call my entire life. So that is now what? 14 players 14 under contract.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that you'd want to reach out to? Do you want me to get that you had in mind, or did you want me to?
No, I think the ability to keep. I think the ability to keep Jaime and Kel'el, and to add Kevin Durant, and add some shooting bodes well for Miami. We also got actually a playable player in Marcus Smart who's going to bring some tenacity there. So it's going to be a fun combination seeing him and Davion Mitchell there. We do need to address getting some additional playmaking down the road.
Backup center,
but that's a concern for a backup center.
You got Bam, you got Ware and Love. That's your feels like you might be a body short.
Is Orlando Robinson still available? We can get him back. No, I'm serious. I think that would probably be a route that they'd circle back to. Like he's still one of those guys. I know he spent time with Toronto, kind of floating up and down there. So would he be willing to come back here and be a serviceable option for Miami?
What you're talking about are training camp invites that perhaps could make the final roster with a strong preseason showing. Who knows? The Heat could also find a bunch of they will probably sign some undrafted free agents to training camp deals and things like that. We still haven't even talked Summer League yet, and all those things. But those are the other things there on the market. But for now, we're going to leave it there unless there's any outstanding business that you wanted to talk about. But Miami has a roster spot that they can move. Could still create another roster spot by waiving Kashad Johnson if they want. They still have the $16 million trade exception created in the Jimmy Butler trade. That could be used potentially, but that doesn't expire until the trade deadline, so no urgency to use it now. And I thought you did. You already recapped it. So the roster at the end of this mock draft: Davion Mitchell, Marcus Smart, Tyler Herro, Seth Curry, Pelle Larson, Kevin Durant, Haywood Highsmith, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Bam Adebayo, Kyle Anderson, Nikola Jovic, Kashad Johnson, Kel'el Ware, and Kevin Love. This is Russell Westbrook's agent calling. No?
We don't pick up the phone.
That'll do it for our mock offseason. Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NBA Big Board Show. NBA draft expert Rafael Barlow reacts to every workout, interview, and rumor leading up to the NBA draft. Find Locked On NBA Big Board on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts.